In our breaking news story, 5 people are believed to have drowned and 2 bodies have been recovered at Pennington Beach on the KZN South Coast. The search operations for the remaining missing continues. Now, we get more on this situation right now, speaking to Samantha Meyrick, the spokesperson for IPSS Medical. Samantha, good to have you on the program this evening despite the circumstances. Can you firstly confirm what emergency teams found when they arrived at Pennington Beach and what the current situation is right now?
So we received a call just after 6 p.m. that 5 people had been washed out. On arrival of our teams, lifeguards had actually successfully rescued one person who was in a stable condition after being evaluated by paramedics. After a short search with lifeguards and NSRI, they did sadly recover one body. So at this stage, there are still 3 persons believed to be missing. The search has been called off in the dark, because obviously it is a bit, it's difficult and risky to search the ocean at night. So the search is expected to continue at first light tomorrow morning.
And what conditions were present at the time? Let's speak to issues around the state, the tides, or even weather conditions that were present at the time of this incident.
I mean, it has been a fairly warm day on the coast today, but it's very windy. The surf was very rough. It was late in the day. It was nearing the end of shift, if not the end of shift already for the lifeguards. So it wasn't an ideal time of day or ideal conditions to be swimming, without lifeguards on duty.
Yeah. And what challenges do rescue teams face during such type of incidents, especially like the types that we've seen along the South Coast?
I mean, just today, there was a video going around earlier. I mean, it is, it's not a very big area. It's not like Belito or Mhlanga or Durban, where there's not a huge amount of resources. It's usually a very small lifeguard team on duty. I mean, having to deal with 5 victims is very difficult, even for a big team. And yes, with the surf being rough and it's not very conducive for an easy and safe search. So yes, hopefully conditions improve overnight, and it does make it easier for teams to hopefully, find those still missing.
Yeah. Samantha, for beachgoers who may not be familiar with this particular area, what makes this stretch of coastline particularly dangerous?
I think it's like any coastline, it can be dangerous. The lifeguards are there for a reason. We always encourage people to swim on protected beaches. The lifeguards are always very good at, demarcating safe areas for them to swim in. And just being mindful of, when lifeguards are on and off shift and, just staying safe and making, smart decisions and safe decisions for yourselves and your friends and family.
Samantha, is it safe for members of the public who may see an emergency to react or even try to assist in a situation like this? And how can members of the public then assist emergency services?
In a situation like this, we would never encourage anyone to risk their lives unless, they are a trained, lifeguard. On many of the beaches throughout KZN, NSRI have pink buoys, which can be used to be thrown at someone who may be getting into difficulty. But the best thing someone can do is call for help, contact your NSRI, contact your lifeguard, your ambulance services, and stay on scene. And, try and keep an eye on the people who are getting into difficulty. So when rescuers do arrive, you can point out the last known location and give them valuable information that makes the search easier.
Samantha, we do know that schools are still closed. It's still holiday season. Maybe let's speak to some of the warning signs that people should look out for. Are there specific signs that people should look out for at the beach that indicate serious or even dangerous conditions before entering the water?
Well, like I said, that's why we always recommend protected beaches, because that is the job of the lifeguards. They're going to demarcate and put up flags and demarcate the safest area for bathers to be swimming in. I honestly couldn't recommend anything else, because that is what our recommendation is. Always go to protected beaches, especially if you're not familiar with the area, you're not local, and you're not a strong swimmer. Like, go to those protected beaches. The lifeguards are there. They're trained to be there. They're trained to save lives and keep people safe.
And what support is being provided, especially by those who have been affected by this tragic incident?
As far as I know, SAPs were on scene earlier today. I do know COGTA and disaster management are always very hands-on in situations like this. So I'm sure they will be getting the support overnight, and hopefully, the procedure has been explained to them so they understand, what they can expect in the next day or coming days as the search continues for their family.
Samantha, is there any additional information that you'd like to provide to us, especially for people who might want to know what to do when they do notice incidents or dangerous incidents at beaches?
I think the best thing is to contact local authorities. We can't expect people to do the job of anyone else. If you see people swimming, it can be very difficult to then tell them to go swim at the right beaches. Rather, walk down the beach, let the lifeguards know that there's people swimming on, an unprotected section of the beach. They usually go down and, recommend or ask people to move down to where it's safe. They don't want to lose anyone or have to rescue anyone on their shift either.
Samantha Meyrick, thank you so much for that update. She's the spokesperson for IPSS Medical